Like, there's no reason for me to be making something if I'm not enjoying it.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Jesse Nyberg Podcast. Today I'm back here with Emma Bers, Bersletters, super talented designer, illustrator, artist. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's always cool to. I was talking with the episode will have been out by now, but I was talking with Harry again, and we were saying it's cool to do it like it's not far enough away to where it's like we just did it, or it's not recent enough to where it just happened, but it's far enough to where there's like some new shit going on and whatnot.
Yeah. I think we talked like almost exactly a year ago, or like plus or minus a few weeks. So it's cool.
That's how it's kind of been for the ones I've been repeating, I think, because maybe subconsciously or whatever, when it's like, if it's too recent, it's like, what else is there? You know, nothing really happened. What have you been doing this week?
This week,
I guess it's Monday.
It's Monday, yeah.
What you got planned?
I am trying to make my website this week.
Oh, okay.
So that I can like send it to people.
You don't have one at all, right?
Project. I have like an old website that I had when I was doing like video stuff. I think I even like talked about this last time I was on. But now I have like so much new stuff that I'm just completely redoing it. So, right.
I think too, since last time and just in general with you, you've done so much stuff since then that like now you have, you know, all this shit to warrant like different categories on a website and whatnot.
Yeah, totally. I mean, last time I talked to you, I think if it was like in the beginning of May, I don't think I'd even done any client work at all. So it's kind of crazy how much has changed in a year.
I know it's weird because when you think about that stuff, sometimes it feels like it's been so long, but simultaneously, like it's been no time at all. Like depending how if you look at it as like even if I look at my Instagram and scroll back to like 6 months ago, I already look at that like, what the hell? Like that feels like I thought that was years ago I made this poster or whatever.
Totally. Yeah. It's so weird to look at stuff from back then. Cause I feel like I like make stuff so often that it just has to change. So it's so like, it makes it so weird to look back. It feels like it's from forever ago. Right. Plus I've moved I was talking and
Yeah. How's that been? Do you like it over there?
Yeah, I really like Chicago. I'm probably going to move again just because I just like living in new places, but I really like the city of Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, I've only known you for maybe like a year and you've moved like 3 times already.
Yeah.
Since I met you, I think.
I've lived in like 3 places since I met you. Every time someone like catches up with me, they're like, wait, where are you now? So,
yeah. What made you want to go out there?
I am taking classes at Chicago Portfolio School right now. So I'm like trying to learn like art direction and advertising. Okay. So I'm like taking classes at night, and I like my lease was up in Seattle anyway. So I was just like, I guess I'll go to Chicago.
Yeah. Some Don Draper shit. You're learning how to
a little bit. I am watching Mad Men right now.
Yeah, I just started, I just almost finished it. I'm on like one of the last episodes. I always wanted to watch it because everyone would say like, it's kind of like about graphic design or whatever. It's like about marketing. And I was like, it was one of those things where it's like those shows you always hear about and you're like, yeah, I'm sure it's fine. And then you watch it, you're like, damn, it actually is pretty good.
It is really good. It definitely isn't like, I can't imagine watching that show and being like, this is what I want to do. Like everyone on that show is so miserable. Yeah. But
I know.
It is.
I mean,
really
even
good.
The people that, even like the people that time zone benefited, like the straight white dudes, even they're like sad. They're not happy about anything. So it must have been terrible for anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's amazing how they get anything done on that show when they're always drinking into like every room they go into. They have an alcoholic drink.
I know, it was crazy.
I wanted to ask you about so I saw recently, obviously you had that article written about you, which seems pretty cool because considering you just said, less than a year ago, you never even did a real client project or whatever. So how was that like? What was that process like with them reaching out to you, and how did that whole thing feel?
Yeah, that was I mean, like the aftermath of it was crazier than like the actual interview. I just like
Mm,
got an email one day and they were like, "Hello, it's nice that we have a few questions." And I just emailed
yeah.
them back with the answers. But they were super nice and people were saying a lot of nice things after it came out. It was a really cool opportunity because I've seen a lot of people that like I know or that I look up to in that magazine and I follow them. So that's
Hmm.
just really cool to see my work in there.
Yeah. That publication or whatever you want to call it, even though that stuff is like arbitrary and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, it also feels a like some kind of like checked off thing, or like some like rite of passage, like, oh shit, I have an actual, now you can, when you make your portfolio, you could throw that in the
Yeah,
press or
exactly.
whatever
Oh, it's on my
section.
website already.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really cool. I think I had like said something about this on Twitter, but um like my whole experience with designing has been so like kind of solitary just because I
Mm,
like taught myself. I live by myself, like all the work I work from home. Like it feels like it's in my head. So like to see it in a magazine and see people respond to it was really cool and made it feel like
yeah.
more of like a real thing.
Yeah. And it's really cool that, and like I think it's very inspiring, I'm sure, for people to read that, especially that maybe are in a similar situation or like started during COVID or didn't go to school, because for the longest time before, even I feel like the last 5 years, it was very hard to find examples of people that did stuff more like non-traditionally, and like the only examples you did see, they were like crazy big, like it'd be like, Steve Jobs, like he dropped out of school or whatever, and it's like it's not something that you
Exactly.
can actually grasp even and like relate to. But when you see just someone like doing like pretty good, and just like doing the shit that actually is like cool and something you like, I'm sure a lot of people were like, oh damn, like I can do that kind of shit too.
Yeah, that's like kind of what I'm hoping, especially since there's so much. I mean, it's all like crazy good work. I just like, I can't do it. There's so much like 3D design. And like when I was starting, people were really into like on Instagram, I guess, were super into like Chrome type and all this like intricate stuff with all of these
Hmm.
like steps in Photoshop. And it was so, as like someone teaching yourself, it was so like inaccessible. So
Yeah.
I'm just like glad that people can see that you can like do other things basically.
Right. I also think that I think they wrote about this in the article a little bit, and I may have talked about this with you last time, but I think one of the biggest what do you call it, like assets that you have is that you weren't like, you're not heavily influenced by like these outside things and like rules that people, like in design school, like someone doing what you're doing, they would do that like later after they're like, now I can like break the rules after I did all this like grid stuff or whatever you want to call it. I feel like since you started just like that from the beginning, it almost helped you like craft your own style.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think just I was really like clear with myself from the beginning that like the stakes were so low when I was teaching myself. Like I just wanted
Hmm.
something to do that I was like, if I'm like, there's no reason for me to be making something if I'm not enjoying it. Because the only purpose of me making stuff in the beginning was like as a hobby, like to pass the
Right.
time and stay creative. And I think that really helped me. And it's kind of been like surprising to me and cool that it's like helped me build a career off of that. Very like, feel very lucky, I guess,
Hmm.
because it wasn't really like my intention when I started.
Right. I mean, Yeah, they say, what do they say? It's like luck is when preparation and opportunity meet or whatever. Like you've just been doing the poster shit every day and then it just waiting for, I've been seeing now that you've been doing like hella client work and shit. I feel like every day you post like a new tour poster or something.
Yeah, it's been like, I think especially starting at the beginning of this year, it started kind of picking up just because once you get one thing, then people can see that you can do it kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And then like people can refer you and all of that stuff. So it's been cool
Right.
how that's like come together.
It also probably helps that everything's more like happening, you know, like in terms
Yeah.
of events and stuff. They
Oh
weren't
my
really
God.
paying for marketing before or
Yeah,
whatever.
definitely. I guess, yeah, when I started it, no one would have hired me to make a poster anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Um, it's cool because the stuff you were doing, you know, for fun or as the hobby or whatever you want to call it, became like that just shows like the whole idea of doing the stuff that you want to do. Because even before you had your first client, the tour poster, you're not like sacrificing your aesthetic. So you almost already did have the proof even before you did the first one. And now that you have the first one, it's just like, well, I have all these other ones and here's like, I guess the legit one or whatever, but it's all the same really.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's like the best thing about Instagram and being able to post your own work, that I think like people get really stuck trying to like emulate other people's styles, which is like
Mm,
fine if you're practicing your skills, but like if you're putting stuff out there that you don't enjoy making, that's what people who might hire you see and are going to want
mm-hmm.
you to make. So like there's no reason why you should put stuff out there that you don't like to make.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what sucks about being I remember when I was a student and like early graduating, I guess like 3 or 4 years ago, when I had my portfolio, I didn't have enough work to only fill it with the things that I was absolutely in love with. I felt like if I only put in like the best shit, it was like 2 projects, you know? And
Yeah.
then it's really a good feeling though when you start to do more shit and you can finally replace like those bullshit like college projects or whatever, because every single portfolio you see from a student, it's like I redesigned Google or something, you know, or like here's my cool like here's like a beer brand I made up and everyone's using like the same mock-ups and you don't realize it at the time, but as you get older you're like, damn, like that looks very like student. No wonder I wasn't getting like the jobs or whatever.
Yeah, totally. That's again, like, I feel like it was nice to not have that in the beginning because I never, like, just never had to do anything I didn't want to do, which, like, obviously in some ways there's things that I'm not very good at using Illustrator or InDesign, which is like, as I've gotten more work has been like a little challenging, but
Mm-hmm.
I think like being able to do stuff that I enjoy makes up for that totally.
Yeah.
So,
I've also realized too that it's far more important to just continue to grow at like the things that you're pretty good at than feel like you have to know everything a little bit. It doesn't, if you don't have to use like, you know, InDesign ever, or let's say like you don't ever need to know how to like code a website, it'd be a kind of a waste of time to put in all this time to get up to like par when you could just be making your, you know, typography or your posters like excellent, right? And just keep on making them better and better.
yeah, especially if you're just doing it for like personal projects, like
Yeah.
obviously if you're at a job and they want you to make whatever, it's good to learn how to do it, but
Yeah.
like if you're just kind of doing your own thing and posting your own work, like just don't put yourself through that if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always see people complaining like, oh, I need to learn, yeah, like Illustrator or whatever. I need to learn this. And I'm like, not really. Like, you don't need to. You can want to. If you want, like, yeah, it is true. Like, when I was an employee, it's a lot more, got to be a lot more of a generalist or whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
because they'll say, like, you have to do printing shit and then this and then that. But if you're like this person that everyone wants to do this specific thing, then why are you going to waste time doing the not that thing that you're like wanted for or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't have any like coworkers or employees that I need to send my files to. So
Yeah.
like
Besides
the
like me or
organization
some other
also,
designer.
yeah. Yeah, so the organization also just like really just needs to make sense to me in my head, which again is nice now, but I'm sure can cause problems in other
Right.
situations.
It's it must feel pretty weird that, you know, you went to school for this for film and all that, and then you obviously still like that stuff, and I see you talk about like movies and you create a lot of stuff besides the music stuff, it's related to movies, but you didn't really ever probably think that where you're at right now would be like the pathway, huh?
Definitely not. I totally thought I was gonna be like a TV producer or something.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like a lot more fun than that. I think I was really like thought that I couldn't have a creative career because especially the film
Mm-hmm.
industry, it's really tough to like get into that.
Yeah.
But graphic design is so cool because you don't need a crew, like you don't need other people really. You can just like make your work and post it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really all you need. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, what you were doing is kind of like the other side of the spectrum from, you know, working on like a set with PAs and like ACs and like, you know, 50 people to film some kind of commercial or whatever. You can just,
Yeah,
you know, draw with fucking pastels or whatever in your room if you want to, and then it's
exactly.
done.
Yeah, like when I graduated college, I was like, okay, my future for the next 2 years is just being like a production assistant and running errands, which I was like, I guess you have to do that, but it's nice to kind of skip that now.
Right.
I did that. I did a few like production internships that were interesting because I was like around interesting things, but like
Mm-hmm.
the day-to-day errands I was running were like really bad.
Yeah. It feels so, from what I've heard from some of my friends that have been like in the grind or whatever, like that PA to, you know, then to like camera PA, camera assistant, whatever, like this like kind of framework. It's more like a real career or whatever you want to call it, like the way it's
Hmm.
structured, like as if you're like a, you know, you move up. Yeah. And they, as the PA or as the beginning thing, like the actual, you know, director or whatever, like top thing, it feels so like far away and unobtainable, rather than if you're a designer, like, yeah, you could be like junior, mid, senior, like art director or whatever, but like it's a lot more, you could kind of skip shit. It's more malleable and kind of like, you don't have to, if someone tells you like, well, this is the grind, you can be like, well, no, and I'm just going to go do this other like grind or whatever
Yeah,
on the side.
exactly. There's so much less like barriers to entry and less like people who are in charge of where you end up, kind of.
Yeah, for real. Um, do you ever run into, so like, since your style, like we were talking about, is pretty like kind of organic and playful and whatever, like rule breaking or whatever you want to call it. And it seems like some of your stuff would be a little bit hard to like revise in a way. So do you ever run into problems like with clients, like they want this like fun shit, but then you give them it and then maybe they're like, we need to pull it back a little bit?
Yeah, I feel like definitely the projects where I don't have as much revisions, like I think turn out better just because you're right. Like my style is so like based. I don't know, it just like comes from here and there's not much like referencing or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to revise. And it's also since a lot of the work that I've posted is like personal work that I don't um keep track of my process as much.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I have to like recreate something I've done in or a technique I've done in the past, that also gets tricky because I just
Mm.
don't remember how I do stuff
Yeah.
because it's so like intuitive in the moment. So sometimes I have to recreate stuff, and that's definitely hard.
It's interesting because your style, like you said, it varies like heavily. I feel like one thing you do, even in the same I feel like the shit I see you make, I guess, to break it down, I feel like has like four kind of almost like buckets of like things. Like there's like the type stuff, then there's the type shit with like the outlines, and then there's like the different formats, right? But I feel like even within each of those formats, they all branch off into like a lot more variables. So I could imagine, yeah, like if clients send you different references, you're like, damn, like that was just one day out of the year, like 4 months ago. And I don't remember exactly what the steps were to like recreate that and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And like you were saying before, like looking at our work from a year ago, it feels like so far away. So if someone sends me a reference from like that long ago, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is like, since I'm making stuff like almost every day, it's so like in the moment that there's like little things that I didn't even think about that people will want me to recreate. And it's like, it's tough.
The worst is when it's long enough ago that you're maybe like indifferent to it. Like you're kind of like, that's kind of trash. Like, I don't know if I want to make something like that again. And they're like, we love it, you know? It's weird. That's like that's such a bittersweet, like common feeling that all like creatives have, where it's, oh, that old stuff was bad, but when you did it, you thought it was great. And I feel like that feeling may never go away, because that's just, as long as you're getting better, like there's shit you can make and stand by. Obviously you don't want everything you make to be like obsolete within like a few months or whatever, but I think it's just good to look at it and be like, oh, I would do that differently at the very least, you know?
Yeah, totally. I feel like I never feel like, when I look at my work, I'm rarely thinking that I would do stuff differently, honestly. I more am just like, wow, I was in such a different headspace then, that like I would never think to make this now, kind of thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you think? Because I was mentioning how a lot of your stuff is like very different, but it also feels the same. What do you think is the biggest like attribute that adds to like the thread of Bersletters that kind of keeps everything feeling that same style?
I think like from the very beginning, I was making like big shapes. And that's sort of like my starting point a lot of the time. So I think that helps bring it together. And I don't really switch up the fonts that I use. So that also helps bring it together. Yeah, and just like the bright colors. I think those are like the three things that are pretty consistent.
I think that's what makes the juxtaposition so good, is that you like your type that you draw like never really looks exactly the same, but you always use like the Neue Haas grotesque or whatever, right? And maybe a few other fonts, and like those are so like normal or whatever you want to call it, that I think it works, because if you were using like so much like decorative shit, it may like clash with the shit that you're drawing and trying to bring the real attention to.
Yeah, totally. I think this stuff, especially the past like month or so, I've been doing a lot more like hand-drawn letters, or maybe 2 months, which has been really fun. And I don't think I could use any other like pairing font with it, or it'd be like way too crazy, because it's already kind of hard to read.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that like we've done together, I'm like, it's already like pretty hard to read, and I'm like, I'm about to make it even harder to read. Hopefully,
yeah, exactly.
like it's able to turn out. But I think that's what's fun about it. Like it's almost I think that's why I like working with you too, is it's almost relieving to just already know that point of not reading has been achieved. I don't even have to try to like salvage it.
Oh yeah,
you know?
exactly. It's like a little puzzle for whoever's looking at it.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think makes for like a good collaboration with whoever, from both the process standpoint and like the final outcome? What do you think needs to happen to make it turn out good?
Oh man, I honestly haven't really done that many collaborations. I think I've only done it with you and RAM, oh, I guess, and POW. Um, I think just like trusting the other person is the best thing. Like the second that you start trying to ask whoever you're working with to like change specific stuff that they did, I think it can like fall apart. Sort of like what I was saying before, like if you're collaborating with someone else for like a personal project, just if you're not having fun, like just don't do it. Like it just isn't that serious at the end of the day.
Like you don't want to be like giving your fellow like artists like revisions and shit like a client.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, actually the kerning is like a little off here. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I think I guess I was asking too because my theory on it was that the people have to have the same almost like way of thinking, but they have to have different like skills, you know, because
oh yeah, totally.
I've tried to collaborate with people that I feel like are more in my style, and you would think, oh, that makes sense. They do the same stuff, but that's why it doesn't work because I don't know how to divide the work because what am I supposed to do if they already did what I wanted to do? It's kind of like a weird thing.
That's kind of the same thing as like if you're working, like if I was working with someone who wanted to like, who also wanted to do like crazy hand-drawn type, then that would make me want to micromanage them and be like, well, this is what I'm good at. So yeah, I totally agree about the different skills because like you're so good with like placing photos and like editing that kind of stuff that like I wouldn't even think to like change what you did on our stuff. Like it wouldn't even cross my mind. I'm like, but you know what you're doing. Like it looks good.
Yeah, it's easy too to work with you because since your shapes and in your lettering is so like shapes, like it's almost more like a shape that I can just look at it as like a more of a thing that can hold like information rather than like something that needs to be like super legible and read and like make sure I keep the like integrity of like this A, you know, or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, totally. And that's like how I view the letters that I draw too. They're less like, I don't like really care if you can read it. It's more like a tool to like create a composition than anything else.
Do the clients ever have like, I guess it kind of goes back to what I was asking about when they maybe think it's like maybe a little too far. Have you ever had any issues where they think that the information may not be like conveyed enough?
Yeah, I think for client work, I try to make it a little more like legible because I know that there's actually like a reason that the words are there. I feel like the most that's ever happened is like I kind of like drawing like my like, you know, P's and O's and E's without the like hole in the middle just because I like that it makes more of a shape and they'll be like, can you put a hole in the P? And I'll do that. But that's kind of the extent.
Do most of the people though that you've worked with so far, these different bands, because they've spanned, a lot of it is, I guess, kind of similar, but it seems like it's spanned enough like diversity in like genres and sound. But have they all kind of came to you like saying with the, like, we want this specific look, that the kind of stuff you're posting on your Instagram?
Yeah. So I'll usually like just ask them to send me references of what they're looking for. And almost always they'll send me like 3 or 4 of my posters. And then I go from there, which is nice. It's much easier than like sending something else.
Yeah. Okay. And if you don't have I guess then since you're still working on the website, Instagram is pretty much the sole like business like portfolio right now, right?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because a lot of people are that's what their thing is too. And mine in a way, because I don't update the portfolio as much and the Instagram has the more personal like projects, but I think it's also like very dangerous to put like all your trust into like, you know, Instagram or whatever, because I'm always worried that someone that doesn't have a website, they're just going to get like fucked by Meta or whatever. And then now what do you do? Like start over, I guess.
Yeah, I got worried about that the other day because I remember we were talking about how if you sign in on Instagram on your web browser, that it's like not really safe.
Yeah.
And the other day I got like logged out of my account on my computer and I like freaked out.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. And I like changed my password and everything, but it is kind of scary, which is why I'm glad that I'm making a website. But it is scary because especially when I was starting out, I had no like idea that this would become my job or like something I was really doing. So a lot of my earlier work, I either just didn't save or I don't know where it is or I didn't like save it correctly or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that like maybe is only on Instagram right now, which is a little scary.
Or it's only like flattened pretty much, right? Like a JPEG or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been trying to get a lot better at having, like my own like way of showing work and talking with people, like everything from the newsletter to the website to the portfolio and like prints store, whatever, because as we see like all these apps, like they're so like fickle and like you don't really know. And like even if you look at someone will be like millions or hundreds of thousands of followers on like Instagram, and then on this other app they have like 500, and it's like the fact that there's such that big discrepancy means that if that one goes down, you're not going to be able to get people to go from that one to this other one. But if you had like a website or like some kind of, I feel like email list or anything like that, it's a lot easier to be like, oh, hey, like I'm restarting over here on this place, like come over like, here, rather than
just some way to reach them.
Yeah. I just don't want people to get like screwed. Like even like with been talking with Caroline and they took her account down or whatever. It's already like she had like hella momentum, I feel like already, and it's already like fine, it seems like, for the most part. But just that is like, damn, like we got to have websites at the very least. Like we can't let that die.
Yeah. Oh, I feel so bad for her. She was good about putting her, like keeping her work organized though. So like, I'm glad that she had that. Like, I think she put her whole project on Behance or something. Which I saw that and I was like, wow, I can't really do that with the way that my work is organized right now. So I'm definitely like, the wheels are turning, figuring out how I want to like protect myself against that, I guess.
Yeah, I always too, at the very least, just save stuff like locally or whatever. Like I have hella just hard drives and shit because I don't know, like I just like don't trust anything. I feel like I have to I'll put shit on like the cloud or whatever, on a website, on an Instagram, on like a actual just like those like lacy rugged or whatever hard drives, and put that somewhere. That way, like if it all fails, then what am I gonna do at that point? It's not my fault. Like the world just like ended or something, you know?
Yeah, I think I like need to be more paranoid about that stuff. Like I don't think I'm worried enough about it now that we're talking about it.
There's a fine line though. Like I'm probably on like the opposite side where it's like just it'll be fine. You'll be okay. Out, but
I think just being paranoid about your computer crashing.
Yeah. So my computer just messed up, so my paranoia was valid, I guess. Oh, I wanted to ask you about so since we talked to you, had the whole like freelance what do you want to call it, like sheet spreadsheet, yeah, like just absolutely blow up. And I also wanted to thank you, like myself and I'm sure a ton of people, for putting that all together. And why did you do that? Like what made you think of to kind of like come up with that idea?
Yeah, I made it because I like got hired up for this project and I didn't know what to charge. And it was like, I don't even really remember what it was, but it was like, I was just Googling and trying to find out like what to charge. And it was like too quick for me to like ask somebody.
Oh, okay.
Because I needed like to email them back. And And I was just getting so frustrated because every time you look up like how much to charge for like a tour poster or whatever, it's like some forum where some guy is like, well,
Yes.
take your hourly rate and then multiply it by how many hours you think you'll be working. And it's like,
And it's
oh,
from
well, that's not
2013
helpful.
or
Yeah, and
some
it's
shit.
from like 2010 or whatever. And it's like, okay, this is really not helpful. And especially for like, there's a million like things out there about like logos and website design, but like for anything else,
Yeah.
it's like, I guess, too specific, and Google is like really horrible with looking for that stuff. And I just got so frustrated, and I was like, well, what's a way that I can ask people without like actually asking people, because I know that it does make people get like uncomfortable or sometimes don't want to share how much they make with people like directly. So I was trying to think of like an anonymous way. So I like made this spreadsheet, and at first I was like going to sit on it and ask people to help me build it out or whatever. And then I was like, well, I'm just going to post it and see what happens. And then it took me like 45 seconds to make it. And then like everyone filled stuff in, and it became like really awesome.
Yeah. I think it was cool how I think that once people mostly started putting the like their info, no one really cared about like being anonymous once they saw like these other people maybe that they like respected or whatever. Like, because I was gonna do it and I was like, what do I do? Like, do I put my name or my like even some people had their like, they were the opposite of anonymous. They put like their social media handle or whatever.
Yeah, they're like websites.
Yeah, like plugging. But I saw that and I was like, yeah, like I don't care. I would have told someone this, so it doesn't matter if and I found I was somewhere in the middle, or maybe middle high, which I was like, okay, then I'm not like fucking up. But then I would look through, it's so good that you put this together, because I would look through people and I'd be like, yep, like, of course they're charging that. Like, that's good. Yep, like good. And then I'd be like, what? No, like, what is this? Like, this is not good. Like, then it have the red on it or whatever. And I'd be like,
yeah, totally. Yeah, I put the like color code thing, which I didn't keep up with. I just did that like one day because I had so many people, well, from both sides. I had a lot of like really experienced people DM me and be like, you should probably order this from highest to lowest, because we're like freaking out about how low people are charging. Like, we don't want people to see all these people charging like $15 an hour and think that that's like normal.
Right.
So I tried to put some sort of like color code on. But then I had a lot of people DM me being like, thank you, I've been undercharging so much. So it's really awesome to see people on like both realize they need to charge more, and then also like more experienced people realize that they can help these people that don't know what to charge. So that was really cool.
That's a good idea to sort it that way too, because if it's the other way, it's almost doing the reverse effect. Like everyone thinking like, oh, I should charge $15 for an album art or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Some crazy thing.
I didn't actually get to sort it because I'm really horrible at spreadsheets. So I'm like kind of trying to figure out how to make it better. But I just can't believe how many people responded to it. And there's a column that has like general advice, and almost everybody wrote out like at least a paragraph of like either information about themselves or like advice for people. Like, so many people took the time to do that. It's really cool.
Right. And considering all the people that can basically just go in there and like do whatever, it's pretty like civil. I'm surprised like no trolls have like gone in there or anything. Like,
yeah, I was so worried that I was like, I don't really know what to do, and I don't really have the time to like moderate this, because I didn't really expect it to blow up the way it did. But I don't think there's been, the only thing I've had to do is like people accidentally making extra sheets or whatever, and I'll delete those. But other than that, there really isn't anything bad has happened, which is really nice.
Yeah, the only thing I've seen is where I think like the person writes, and then since they added another thing, it's not in the right, like
Yeah.
they'll say album art and they're like, this is how much for a logo. You could tell
Yeah.
that it got like shifted or whatever. But yeah, like considering that's the thing, is it has to be anyone can do whatever to make it work this well. But then you're giving up some of the like, yeah, like the chaos of the internet. Basically, anyone could just go crazy. But it's
Yeah.
cool, and it was cool seeing. I guess if no one, I'm going to link this in the description. I don't know if everyone knows about this, but I'm just talking about it. If you don't know, it's basically Emma put together this spreadsheet that all these people can input their rates and different things. It's like this freelance transparency sheet. What I thought was cool was how I would see like these people that I know that, or I don't know, but I know of in like the professional world more and stuff. And it's cool because I feel like those type of people are never interacting in the same space as like these Instagram like people or whatever. And it was like the first time I've seen all these different types of design people like in one like forum or place or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that was like the coolest part about it was it also like kind of made like a small round on Twitter, which I think a lot of the like non-Instagram people found it from.
Yeah.
And it got shared with a lot of like illustrators and like just circles that I wasn't a part of, which was so cool. And I think it's awesome that these like real professionals put their rates in there, because it would be so skewed if it was just like 18-year-olds from Instagram
Right.
putting like how much they charge for a logo. So I'm like so happy that there's like really good information in there.
Did all that like happen right kind of the same day, or did it take a while for it to like guess like blow up or whatever you want to call it?
It was like, I think I posted about it in my Instagram story first. And like a lot of people were messaging me from that and like just sharing the link. And then I made like an actual post that people could share about it. And like once I made that, it was like, that was like a month and a half ago. And I'll still look and people are still like putting it on their stories and stuff. So it's like still, it went on for a really long time, which is really cool.
Dope. Do you think you got any like other stuff like from that? Like I'm sure more people just know of you now, right? From that whole like thing. It seems like you got probably like some followers and shit like that.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of people like found my account from that, just because like we were saying, it just got into so many like other circles. So I definitely, a lot of new people found my work from that, which is cool. It's
dope.
nice that like I've never had any like of my own work go viral or anything like that. So it was cool that it was something that was like actually helping people and like really positive, that kind of made the rounds like that.
It was smart of you too to actually make it into like a design, because every time I post anything and I don't put enough like effort into making it formatted for the platform, it like flops, you know? Like if you're just like, check this out, or like buy this, or look at this, or like you actually made the little cover, and even that like probably helped so much rather than just posting the screenshot of like the spreadsheet or whatever and being like, look at this.
Yeah, definitely. Because I had so many people when I just posted the link to it that were like, can I share this? Can I share this? And I was like, let me just make something that you can share like super easily, which I think was really helpful. And I tried to make it super simple, like clear what it was. And it worked.
Yeah, that's dope. I think it was a good idea. And again, I'll put it in the description if you guys want to check that out. On a different, I guess, more negative note, I saw your this thing on your collage hating opinion on Twitter, and then
I was wondering if you're going to say something about that.
And then you have your arsenal of, I guess, critiques or negative art opinions in your Apple Notes or Google Notes, and I'm wondering if there's one that you can share with me today. Another one.
Oh my God. I literally was thinking today, I was like, I wonder if you're going to ask me about I have a notes app folder that's called Hater Art Opinions. Wait, let me look at it right now. I feel like it's so hard because there's things that I don't like, but I don't know how productive it is for me to like tell people that I don't like it, because I don't want to discourage anyone
them.
Because I feel it. Oh God, I don't know.
It's going to be something that like everyone does. You're like, I hate type.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, I hate when people space
Use
their
fonts.
type out or whatever. Yeah, use fonts. Well, okay, for those that don't know, the one that's like publicly out there right now.
Yeah, I'll put a picture of how it looks too.
Yeah, put a picture. I think it objectively looks good, but I'm just like tired of seeing it. Is these like collage art that's like a like vintage like 60s people in a pool, and then like the sky is outer space. And there's so many collages like that where they're like, the sky is outer space.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. You'll know it when you see it.
Why do you think that is, who did that, you know? And then like, because that's on Pinterest, you know, I think is part of the problem.
It's totally like a Pinterest thing. I think it's like really easy to recreate. It does like look cool. I think like, I don't know. I think I'm bothered by it because I love collage, and I think like collage art is so cool, and there's so many like things you can do with it. Like you can use literally anything for collage, and people are like, let me get this photo of outer space. It's like, just use a photo of something else. It'd be cool if the sky was like, I don't know,
anything.
like shoes, or I don't know, literally anything else.
Yeah.
I guess I'll share it, and these are, my list spans like a lot of different types of art and design. One thing I hate about interior design that's also like very TikTok-y and a trend is like painting an arch on your wall. Like when people like paint an arch above a table, or
above their bed or something,
or like above your bed, or like honestly most like murals inside that aren't like, I don't know, I just don't like it.
Yeah, that's like everyone out there. Or when they have those like mirrors that are like wavy like that right behind the painted arch, that's right up in that same vibe.
I'm kind of like, you're in 3 months, you're just gonna have this paint on your wall that you're gonna want to paint over.
Yeah, you know, I see that shit, or I saw, and when it's part of you, you're like, fuck, you know, or like adjacent. Like even I saw today, Elliot made a TikTok. It was like, this is how the people on design or whatever are like on TikTok. And I'm like, I've done, and I'm just like, fuck, I've done like all that, you know, like here's like the 5 things that you got to do this or whatever. And that's like, obviously I'm not the only one doing that. So that's why it's funny, because everyone looked at it would either have done it, or that's all they see all the time, you know, or even the pointing thing. Like, I wonder who was the first person to like point, you know, at something. Like, I guess that's kind of just happened by design with the green screen or whatever. It's like, what else do you do? Just put your head right there and wait or something.
Yeah. That's so funny. I guess those are just like, the people like those videos and they are helpful, but it is funny because it's like, I think it's like the easiest thing for people to do when they're like, I guess, starting to make like content. So there's just so many of them.
I think that's what goes back to even like the collage space thing, or a lot of the chrome type, or what I've been seeing, like the trends. It's really just trends. And I think that when trends start out, they're not really trends. So then people are like, that's dope. Like, I want to make something like that. And then they do. And then these other people that are better, worse, the same, everyone does it. And it's like black market, right? They make like cool shit, but they are also responsible for like 10 million like plastic textures being sold on the internet from other people that were like, we can do this, you know, or whatever. Yeah. And it's hard because then you don't want people to like, what you were saying, be like, how are you going to make anything if everyone's like, that's stupid, that's dumb, or like, I don't like that. But then like what I've been seeing lately is people drawing the like custom type, and it's just like all like, how do I explain it? It's like very like round and like bubbly, and
the
then
bubble letters, yeah.
yeah, but then it's like, and then it'll be over one of those like Y2K photos where the perspective's like the fisheye on the foot, and it's just like, it'll say like breathe or whatever, you know, and then it's like has like a bunch of little text, and I'm like, damn, this is the next, like, I literally think that's the next like gradient human or like plastic texture. Like I've seen it so much from so many different accounts.
Same. And
So
it's like, it's the same thing that where it like, it does look really cool. And it's also like really easy to make. So like everyone's doing it. I think I also like posted about that a little bit, that I just like want to see people do more with it. Yeah. Cause like the bubble text like that, especially with like the X's and stuff, is so like directly drawn from like graffiti art. And there's so much like interesting graffiti and like references from that I feel like it'd be so cool if people like just did a little more with it. But I don't want to get too
yeah, I don't want to be like too much haters, because people hate shit I do, so I don't want to be part of that. I think though that's what makes your style work, is that it may not be like for everyone, and like it's not going to hop on like some trend, but it has a lot more, like you can't help for it to look like you made it, you know, and that's a good thing. It has a lot more, I think, lasting value, and it's gonna not be the performance online, and the clients and stuff aren't gonna fluctuate based on like the climate of like what's cool, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that it's like, it's helped me like when I make my work, I don't like look at any other graphic design really. I try to just do it like straight from my head basically. And I think that helped me a lot when I was starting out, because I wasn't comparing myself to anybody. Like if you're doing a trend, which again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like it's really great for learning, and it's like fun, obviously. But it's so easy to like compare yourself and get stuck in like a loop of being like, well, I can only use this type of font and this type of like photo or whatever. So I think like I don't think I would be able to do what I do if I was trying to like copy something that I saw, if that makes sense. Like I'd be way too in my own head about it.
And there's always going to be someone doing it like better. I feel like that's just like statistics, you know, like someone's going to probably be better than you by like a lot, maybe even. And then you're going to have to look at that each time you have your own idea. I saw,
exactly.
What I always find funny is on Twitter or Instagram, like there's people I know that have a style that's very reminiscent of different eras, you know, like obviously like the Mad Men type shit we were talking about is very popular again the past few years, this golden age of like advertising with the whole like Apple whatever shit. And I'll see people see that some company make that and then say, oh, you copied like this person, and they're like trying to say like this person should have made it that does that style, and I'm just like, that's not even like, that's something that already existed. It's not like, you can't say like, even the person that makes that style knows that it's a reference to that. That's the whole point. So you can't like, if someone made a space collage, like you're saying, you can't be like, that's theirs, that they made, that you should have hired them to make the space collage because it's just a common knowledge thing or whatever.
Yeah, totally. I've been thinking like literally the exact same thing the past few weeks, because I've seen people be like, oh, like this person should have made it, like exactly what you're saying. And it's like, well, there's clearly the reference they're making is like very clear and like historical, like, and it's like kind of a defined style that no one can really own. Yeah, it's interesting to see like, I don't know, the Instagramification of like real art styles.
The thing I saw in this that I always resonated with me in that Still Like an Artist book is that it said something along the lines of, if you think something's original, it's like 90% of the time you just don't know what it was referencing. It's not that someone came up with that. And they also say like everything's already been said, but no one was listening, so it must be said again. And that's why I think all these trends are like cyclical and everything, because the ideas die with the people that like age out of living in the time where that happened. So I'm sure in 100 years, someone's going to be like, yo, what if we just say like some cool typography and put the product simple and then make like a ad, and someone's going to be like, how'd you think of that? And they're like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
It's just all how it goes, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on, and thank you for sharing all that resource stuff. That is really cool. I think that everyone should check that out. Is there anything else you wanted to kind of shout out or anything?
Not really. I was just also going to say, if you haven't seen that spreadsheet, check it out. Get people, you know, like the more information in there, the better of a resource it becomes. So I think just shouting that out.
Yeah, definitely check it out, and check out Emma Bers, Bersletters. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time, everyone. Peace out.
Thanks for having me.